Have you ever paused and asked yourself, why don't I enjoy being around people like I used to? It's not that you've stopped loving others. It's not bitterness. It's not loneliness. It's something deeper, something earned with time clarity. As we grow older, the need to constantly be social begins to shift. What used to energize us now feels tiring. The noise, the chatter, the expectations, they don't quite fit anymore. And that's not something to fear. In fact, it may be one of the healthiest changes in your life. Let's explore 6 deeply human reasons why you might find yourself stepping back from others, and why that decision can actually be a sign of growth. There's a moment in life, usually quiet and unnoticed, when your heart starts building walls. Not out of anger, but out of experience. You don't mean to distance yourself from people. It just sort of happens a little more each year. And often it begins with the things you rarely talk about. See, by the time you've reached your 60s, 70s, or 80s beyond, you've likely been through your fair share of heartbreaks, some small, others unforgettable. Maybe it was a close friend who slowly stopped calling, or a sibling who betrayed your trust over something that still makes your stomach twist when you think about it. Maybe someone you confided in used your vulnerability against you, or maybe they just disappeared when you needed them most. These things don't always leave visible scars, but emotionally they change how you show up in the world. You become more cautious, more discerning, not bitter, and just wise. Take Marilyn, for example. She's 79 now, living in a quiet Arizona neighborhood. In her younger days, her house was the center of everything. Birthday parties, Thanksgiving dinners, long Sunday brunches with friends. Her laugh used to fill the room. She gave so much of herself to the people around her, always believing in the goodness of others. But over time, things changed. One by one, friends moved away or drifted apart. Some left without a goodbye. One close friend shared something private Marilyn had told her in confidence. That one hurt the most. It was like someone knocked the air out of me, she says. I stopped opening up after that. These days, Marilyn keeps her circle small. She still smiles warmly at her neighbors, still sends birthday cards, but she doesn't host big gatherings anymore. She says it's not because she's lonely, quite the opposite. I've learned to love the quiet, she explains. I no longer feel the need to keep company that doesn't feed my peace. That's something many older adults come to understand. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. You've lived long enough to recognize when something or someone isn't right for you. You've carried pain long enough to know that peace is worth protecting. Psychologists often refer to this shift as emotional self-preservation. It's when your past experiences begin to shape how much you're willing to invest in new connections. It doesn't mean you've given up on people. It simply means you're not willing to sacrifice your well-being just to maintain appearances. And here's the truth that no one really talks about. The older you get, the more precious your time becomes. You start to realize that energy is not infinite. Every conversation, every visit, every interaction costs something. And if you've been burned enough, you naturally start spending that energy more carefully. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you courageous, because it takes strength to say, no more. No more chasing people who never meet you halfway. No more sharing pieces of yourself with those who don't value them. No more pretending everything is okay when it's not. Boundaries are not a sign of weakness. They're a mark of growth. So if you found yourself pulling back, keeping things close to your chest, spending more time alone than before, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're shutting down. It means you've survived. And in that survival, you've learned what deserves your time, your trust, and your tenderness. Your heart has earned the right to be careful. There comes a point in life when silence no longer feels empty. It feels like a gift. In our younger years, we often fill every space with conversation. We talk to connect, to fit in, to avoid awkwardness. We chat at dinner tables and waiting rooms at work. Functions sometimes out of habit. Other times, just to avoid the quiet. We smile, we nod, we listen to stories that don't interest us, and we tell a few of our own to be polite. But as we grow older, something inside begins to shift. The need for constant conversation fades. The hunger for deep, meaningful connection takes its place. You stop entertaining gossip. Stop wasting breath on weather updates and idle chit-chat. You start craving conversations that nourish the soul, not just pass the time. Take Walter, a 76-year-old retired mechanic from Ohio. Back in the day, Walter was the life of the party. Loud, warm, always ready. With a joke, he'd talk to anyone and everyone, whether in line at the grocery store or at his grandson's soccer game. But now, he prefers quiet. Walks by the lake behind his house. He still chats with neighbors, still answers the phone when family calls, but if you ask him to join a noisy get-together just for the sake of it, he'll likely pass. When asked why, he just shrugs and says, "I'm not interested in talking, just to fill the air anymore." And that simple truth resonates with so many, because as you age, you begin to notice how certain conversations leave you feeling lighter, while others leave you feeling drained. You begin to sense the difference between real connection and empty noise, and you no longer feel the need to perform. You've let go of the pressure to be charming, funny, agreeable. You've realized that peace is far more valuable, thus raudus, than popularity. This doesn't mean you dislike people. Quite the opposite, you still value connection, just not at the cost of your energy. You'd rather have one heartfelt conversation than 10 shallow ones. You'd rather spend an evening with a good book and a cup of tea than be stuck in a room full of noise that says nothing. This shift surprises some people. Friends may worry. Loved ones may ask questions. Are you okay? Why don't you come around as much? But what they may not understand is that this new season of life isn't about withdrawal. It's about intention. It's about choosing calm over chaos, clarity over clutter. Psychologists sometimes call this emotional alignment. It's when your values begin to guide your choices more than your obligations do. You no longer go places out of guilt. You don't entertain people out of habit. You follow what feels right and leave behind what no longer serves you. And in doing so, you find something priceless. A kind of quiet joy that doesn't need validation. A kind of freedom that comes from no longer needing to prove anything to anyone. So if you found yourself skipping crowded dinners, avoiding loud phone calls, or simply sitting in silence without guilt, don't second guess it. You're not becoming antisocial. You're becoming selective. You're not losing interest in people. You're learning to protect your peace. And in peace, at this stage in life, is sacred. You've earned the right to choose it. There's a quiet kind of loneliness that sneaks in. Not when you're alone, but when you're surrounded by people who just don't get you anymore. You're sitting at the table. The room is full. Voices are buzzing. Laughter is everywhere. But somehow you feel miles away. You share a story from your life, something meaningful, maybe even sacred, and someone nods politely, checks their phone, then changes the subject. It stings. Not because they meant to hurt you, but because you realize they weren't really listening. This kind of disconnection doesn't happen all at once. It builds slowly in little moments. And eventually it makes you wonder if it's worth speaking up at all. Just ask Ella, a 79-year-old retired teacher from Minnesota. She used to light up every room she entered. She had stories, oh so many stories, from raising 5 kids, teaching generations of students, running the local church, bake sales, surviving heartbreak, and rediscovering joy. She tried sharing those memories with her grandkids. At first they listened, but over time they stopped asking. Now when she talks, they smile and glance at their phones, too distracted to notice the wisdom sitting right in front of them. It's like my whole life is in color and they're watching in black and white, she once said. It's not that younger people mean to be rude. It's just they're moving so fast. And in that rush, it's easy to miss the depth of someone else's story. That's what makes this feeling so difficult. It's not rejection. It's something softer, but just as painful. Being overlooked, being politely ignored, being treated like your experiences don't carry weight anymore. So you begin to hold back. Not because you don't have something to say, but because you're tired of not being heard. Psychologists call this emotional invalidation, when your feelings or thoughts are dismissed, ignored, or brushed aside, and it's something many older adults experience more than they talk about. It doesn't always come in loud moments. Sometimes it's just a shrug, a phone screen, a distracted nod, and slowly you start choosing silence over disappointment. But here's what needs to be said. Your voice still matters. Your life, your stories, your thoughts, they carry meaning. Deep, irreplaceable meaning. And if the people around you can't see it, that's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of their distraction. The truth is, you've lived through more than most can imagine. You've felt joy, grief, love, loss, hope, heartbreak, and everything in between. You don't need permission to share those things. You don't need someone to validate your experience, but you do deserve to be heard. And when that doesn't happen, when the people around you stop seeing you, it's okay to step back, not out of resentment, but out of self-respect. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to create distance from those who make you feel invisible. That's not giving up. That's choosing peace. So if lately you found yourself retreating a little, choosing your own company over conversations that leave you feeling small, know that you are not alone. Many others feel the same. Many others are walking this path quietly, bravely, choosing to be with people who see them, or to be with themselves if no one else will. Because being misunderstood is painful, but being true to yourself is powerful. And in the end, you deserve connection that's real. You deserve to speak and be heard, not just out of politeness, but out of genuine care. Until you find that it's okay to wait in the quiet. Your story still matters. It starts quietly, almost invisibly. One day, you hesitate before asking for help. You feel a twinge of guilt for needing a ride to the doctor, or asking someone to carry the heavy groceries. You tell yourself, they're busy. I don't want to be a bother. And just like that, the fear begins to grow. This isn't about pride, it's about love. It's about not wanting your presence to feel like a weight on the people you care about. You've spent a lifetime showing up for others, raising kids, working long hours, volunteering, comforting friends in hard times. You were the one others leaned on. Now needing support yourself feels foreign, even uncomfortable. Now that's what happened to Herbert, an 84-year-old widower from Indiana. For years he was the center of his family. Sunday, barbecues were at his house. He helped fix his grandkids' bikes, taught them how to fish, and never missed a birthday. But after his mobility declined, everything changed. I stopped saying yes to invitations, he said. Not because I didn't want to go, but because I didn't want them rearranging their lives just to accommodate me. His daughter begged him to keep coming over. She didn't mind picking him up or setting up a chair with extra support. But Herbert couldn't shake the feeling that he was in the way. And he's not alone in feeling that. Many older adults experience this quiet fear, the worry that they've become someone others have to take care of. Even if no one says it out loud, the thought nags at you. What if they're just being polite? What if I'm making their life harder? So you start to withdraw. You stay home. You keep your needs to yourself. You avoid asking. Even when you really need help, you'd rather struggle alone than feel like an inconvenience. It's a heartbreaking tension. The more you need connection, the more you fear reaching for it. And the more you love the people in your life, the less you want to burden them. Psychologists call this a form of self-silencing, when someone suppresses their needs or emotions in an effort to protect others. But the cost? It's your own well-being, your own sense of connection, your own joy. And here's what's often missed: people who truly love you want to show up for you. Your presence is not a burden, it's a gift. Your wisdom, your warmth, your very being still brings value to every room you enter. You are not a task to be managed. You are a person to be cherished. Yes, your needs may look different now. Maybe you move a little slower or need help with errands or get tired more quickly. But those changes don't diminish your worth. They just shift the way love is expressed, and real love shows up, no matter what form it takes. Still, it's okay to feel what you feel. This fear is real. It's common. And it doesn't make you weak. It makes you human, but the truth is, the people who truly care about you aren't keeping score. They're not secretly resenting the ride, the extra time, the changed plans. More often than not, they're grateful for the time with you, and they'd rather really be there than miss those moments altogether. So if you've been pulling away lately, afraid to ask, afraid to lean, take a breath. You don't have to carry everything alone. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to need support. And you are absolutely still worthy of love, care, and companionship. Being older doesn't make you a burden, it makes you a treasure. And your presence, just as it is more than enough. Not every goodbye comes with the door slamming shut. Sometimes it's just a slow, gentle drift. No arguments, no hard feelings, just distance. As we grow older, we begin to notice something that no one really warned us about. Many of the relationships that once filled our days start to quietly fade away. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not usually dramatic. It might start with a missed phone call, a postponed lunch, a holiday card that never arrives. You tell yourself people are just busy, and they are. Life gets full. Priorities shift. But one day you realize it's been months, maybe even years, since you last really connected with someone who once felt like family. Think about Victoria. She's 73 now, living in the same small town where she and her high school best friend, Martha, used to walk every Thursday morning, rain or shine. For decades, it was their tradition. They'd talk about everything: kids, husbands, jobs, dreams. But slowly those walks became monthly, then yearly, and now they haven't seen each other in 3 years. There was no falling out. Victoria says, no bad blood, just life. We drifted. That kind of fading leaves a particular ache behind. It's not the pain of conflict. It's the ache of nostalgia. You look back on those shared moments and wonder what happened. Did you grow apart? Did they change, or did you? The truth is, probably both relationships often form around shared seasons. Raising kids together, working the same job, living on the same street. And when those seasons end, sometimes the connection ends too. Not because the love disappears, but because the rhythm of life no longer aligns. It's a strange kind of loss, one that's hard to explain, because nothing went wrong exactly. And yet you still miss them. You miss the ease, the laughter, the sense that someone out there really knew you. And as you reflect, you begin to realize something important: letting go doesn't always mean failure. Sometimes it's growth, because as we age, our inner world becomes more defined. We learn what we need to feel balanced. We learn who energizes us and who exhausts us. We stop chasing people out of sustained habit. We stop forcing conversations that no longer flow. And slowly, we begin choosing space over strain. That doesn't mean we don't care. It means we care differently now. It's not that we've outgrown people in a prideful way. It's that we've come to understand that not every connection is meant to last forever. And that's okay. Some people were right for a chapter, not the whole book. And here's the beautiful part. With every relationship that fades, we gain clarity about the ones we still hold close. We cherish them more. We show up more fully. We speak more truthfully because we know how precious and fragile true connection really is. So if you found yourself thinking about someone you haven't seen in years, if you feel a little sad about the friendships that faded without a fight, hey, take heart. It's not a failure. It's a part of life's rhythm. You're not broken for missing them. You're human. And if those connections are meant to circle back, they will. But if they don't, that's okay, too. You've given love. You've shared time. And now you're simply honoring the space you're in today. Because not every goodbye is loud. Some are whispered over time, and that quiet doesn't make them less real. It just means you're moving forward with peace, with grace, and with the understanding that sometimes loving from afar is enough. There's a kind of peace that doesn't arrive until later in life. It's not loud. It doesn't ask for attention. It simply settles in softly, steadily when you realize something powerful. You no longer need constant company to feel complete. In our younger years, life moves fast. We're surrounded by people, coworkers, kids, friends, neighbors. The house is rarely quiet, and when it is, we fill the silence with noise. Music, television, phone calls. Back then, being alone often felt lonely, or worse, like something was missing. But something changes as we age. You begin to enjoy your own rhythm. The slow mornings, the quiet evenings. The moments when the only sound is the wind through the trees or the hum of the kettle on the stove. What once felt empty now feels sacred. James, an 82-year-old man from Tennessee, knows this well. He used to host poker nights at his house every Friday. Laughter, stories, cold drinks, and familiar faces. For decades, it brought him joy. But now he says he finds more comfort sitting on his back porch, watching birds flutter through the garden. When asked if he misses the company, James chuckles and says, "I've got enough memories to keep me entertained for days, and I kind of like the quiet now." It answers questions I didn't even know I was asking. That's the beauty of growing older. You begin to trust the stillness. You don't feel the need to impress anyone. You don't crave the spotlight or the sound of voices to feel valued. You start finding joy in your own presence, and more importantly, in your own peace. This shift can confuse others. Family members may worry. Friends might think you're pulling away. But what they don't always see is that you're not withdrawing from the world. You're returning to yourself. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone is a choice. And when that choice is rooted in peace, it becomes powerful. Psychologists call this self-containment, the ability to feel full, grounded, and emotionally stable without depending on constant external stimulation. It's not about rejecting people. It's about no longer needing people to validate your worth. Because at this stage in life, you've already proven everything you needed till you've built a life. You've overcome hardships. You've laughed, cried, and grown in ways no one else fully understands. Now you finally have the time and space to be with yourself. And to many, that feels like a quiet miracle. You don't have to fill every moment with conversation. You don't have to explain why you'd rather stay in than go out. You don't have to apologize for choosing calm over chaos. This season of life is about being whole. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. It's about knowing that your worth doesn't depend on how many people call you or how full your calendar is. You've earned the right to sit in silence without guilt, to spend a whole day doing nothing and call it a good day, to smile quietly to yourself, knowing that you are more than enough. So if lately you found yourself enjoying your own company more than ever before, embrace it. Bye. That's not loneliness. That's clarity. That's not sadness. That's self-connection. Because one of the greatest gifts of aging is the freedom to stop chasing the noise of the world and start listening to the wisdom within. You're not alone in your solitude. You are whole in it. If you've made it this far, take a moment to pause, not just to reflect, but to honor yourself. Because if any of these 6 truths resonated with you, if you've noticed yourself pulling back, seeking peace, choosing silence, or letting go of relationships that no longer feel right, you're not broken, you're not fading, you're not becoming cold or distant. You're evolving. You're learning to protect your heart. You're prioritizing your well-being. You're seeking honesty, calm and connection that feels real, not just familiar. And that takes courage. It's easy to stay in old patterns, to keep saying yes when you mean no, to keep showing up out of guilt rather than joy. But it's a powerful act of growth to say, I choose differently now, to let your past shape you but not trap you, to allow space into your life, not as absence, but as clarity. You're not avoiding people, you're finally honoring yourself. And if that looks like more solitude, fewer gatherings, or deeper boundaries, so be it. You've earned the right to design this chapter of your life on your own terms, so give yourself grace. Let go of the guilt, and remember, even in your quiet moments, you are deeply seen, deeply valued, and never truly alone. There are many others walking the same quiet road, one of reflection, peace, and inner strength. And in that shared journey, we find something even more beautiful than noise. We find truth. We find freedom. We find ourselves.